The stupid word correction in my notes here put in the word trollops instead of trollops.
Well, they've got one with them.
Darn trollops. They break up families.
They've got Fail with them, so, you know.
You home wrecker, you!
A moistened bint.
All right. Trollops. It's a frequently used word in my notes.
Right.
It should be used more.
Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, episode 31. I'm Eric VC, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite Fran and Ollie, the VC boys. Say hello, Dave.
I'm not sure which one I am, but hello, Dave.
Fran and Ollie.
Yeah, he's reaching into the Wayback Bank there, but that's all right.
Who the heck is Fran and Ollie?
Yeah, you wouldn't know. That's okay, though.
That's all right. Someone out there does.
Fran and Ollie is an old 50s puppet television show. Are you going to introduce yourself, Adam, or are you going to be anonymous this podcast?
He's Ollie.
I'm trying to figure out which one I am, Fran or Ollie.
Oh, I'm the first. I went first, so I guess I'm Fran. I'm a woman.
All right, this episode covers chapters 25 through 30 of The Shadow Rising, and boy, did we learn a lot this episode. As you might expect, we're going to spend the majority of this episode on chapters 25 and 26, but before we launch into that, we will
because it's chock full of information.
That's right. It's
Chips Ahoy. So good. So fake and so good.
Those are like the cardboard of chocolate chips.
And I could eat an entire bag with no qualms about it whatsoever.
But before we launch into chapters 25 and 26, we will put on our Rockwells and climb up the Singularity for our view from Dragonmount. We will then discuss our favorite moments with What Shook Your Willow before we get into all things Aiel with what happens in Rhuidean stays in Rhuidean. After exhausting the history of the Aiel in the Westlands, we will talk about our young ones in love with the Love Connection before moving on to In Dreams.
The Love Connection. I'm combining two different shows right now.
Yes. We will then put on our overalls and Timberlands for Down on the Farm before we head into our Coplin of the week and Who Leveled Up?
Overalls and Timberlands sounds like we're going to Compton.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think probably they're going to wear more cats.
Maybe in the 90s, in this time period, that look came from something else.
The Timberlands? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, right.
But,
You're right. Work clothes and work boots, probably never worn on a farm. Definitely have more applications to an urban setting. So
He's angry tonight, Dave.
So
watch out.
The natives are restless.
He must be drinking the snarky tea.
So let's put on our aviators and scale this beast. Episode 30 covered chapters 19 through 24.
That sounded strangely.
In that episode, we saw Naive, Elaine, and Tom and Julian Sandar join Coin and Joran Jin Dubai aboard the Wave Dancer. Rand had some of the High Lords of Tyr who were plotting against him lead a rescue mission to Cairhien while he led the Aiel off to Chandir above Rhuidean. He, Matt, Avienda, and Moiraine all ran to Rhuidean, some more naked than others, and Matt found out what was on the other side of the red door in Rhuidean.
Apparently nothing good.
How many times can I say Rhuidean in this episode?
It's going to be a lot, even though we still don't know the exact pronunciation of that word.
I just can't.
I'm just going to call it Ryu.
Yeah,
Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter. That's what we're calling it. All right.
For this episode, we read chapters 25 through 30. Chapter 25 finally showed us what the circles of Rhuidean reveal, beginning with the scene of the purpose of Rhuidean, and chapter 26 continues the journey back in time.
Back in time.
Chapter 27 finally rejoins the pleasant company of Fail, Perrin, Loyal, traipsing through the ways.
It's a funny word to use.
At the Manetheren exit, they are attacked by Trollocs, and of course, Machin Shin shows up, but the party escapes safely. Sleeping outside of the Manetheren Waygate, Perrin dreams and runs into a new foe in the Wolf Dream. Chapter 29 sees Perrin's visit to the burnt-down Althor farm before arriving at the Wine Spring Inn to learn of the death of his family at the hands of Trollocs.
And not murdered by pirates.
Convinced he won't leave, the Alvirs offer him a place to hide in the forest. Heading to their hiding place in chapter 30, the party of Perrin, Fail, Gaul, Bane, and Chiad discover that they are hiding out with Aes Sedai when they run into some warders.
I thought you said mortars. Bricklayers.
They discover that they're hiding out with Aes Sedai when they run into some warders. And that is the story we are going to tackle this episode. So, given our story for the week, Adam, what shook your willow?
So, it's after the
And can you step in time to it with your Timberlands on?
I don't think... What? No, I need, like, Oxfords for that. What is that? Now I'm cleaning chimneys?
Rootin' tootin'.
I'm all over the place in this outfit. I'm cleaning chimneys.
Yeah.
I'm stomping heads.
It's a versatile outfit.
You're apparently mooning over Fail.
Yeah, I'm mooning over Fael.
That's better than mooning over my hammy.
After they get out of the...
eggs over my hammy.
I used to eat that by the pant load.
You did. It's true.
The overalls load?
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was the most delicious thing in the world to me at one point.
Hopefully a
say,
very young
it's just
point.
like cholesterol central.
So after Perrin et al. Get out of the Waygate, escaping the Manchin Chin.
The Manchi cheese? What?
The Manchi cheese.
Manchi, oh, so soft and cuddly.
Little hairy monkeys were chasing after Perrin and Fael.
Whatever. Just say the
Makin Shin.
evil wind.
The black wind.
So after they get away from the blood so bitter, drink the blood and crack the bone, crack the blood and suck the marrow. After they get away from that.
Sacagawea.
Bitter marrow, sweet screams, sing and scream, sing screams.
You sound like Dr. Seuss right now. That wasn't frightening.
So Loyal gets them out. He does really well. Good job, Loyal. He says, that is the best I can do. I could have locked it forever by not replacing the leaves. It can only be open from one side now. Great. I don't think this is going to turn out well.
You don't think leaving a Waygate functioning is going to turn out well?
Well, I mean,
I don't think so.
I'm probably agreeing with you.
The Waygate we're pretty sure the Trollocs used to get to
Seems
the
like
two
people
rivers
have
in
gotten
the
there
first
fast
place.
before.
Because I'm sure there's not anybody on this side who could possibly open that Waygate.
A.K.A.
Also,
Pod and
Loyal.
Right, we already know the white cloaks are there with Pot and Fing.
I'm not an Ogier. Never have been.
Or an Ogier.
You
Or
are
an
hairy,
Ogier.
but you're not one of those.
Hey, it doesn't matter. I'm not an OG.
Well, you are wearing Timberlands and overalls.
Oh, you beat me to it.
His reasoning, maybe we used to tend them, maybe we can cleanse them now, doesn't seem very solid.
Maybe we can cleanse them now.
Is it time to cleanse them now?
That was probably the worst Schwarzenegger I've ever heard, if that's what that was. Cleanse it
Where are your
now.
parents and what do they do?
Cleanse it now.
Where's your daddy? And what does he do?
Seems, this black wind is just blowing around in there. It seems very evil, a really destructive thing. If you could close it off, probably just close it off and don't worry about the fact that you used to, tend to them thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago.
Thousands and thousands.
We just know that a bunch of evil has been using that way to get from one place
to point
to
B,
the two rivers. He should have closed it.
Loyal is hoping that they can fix it, but it's been corrupt for a long, long time.
Oh, Loyal isn't hoping that they can fix the ways. He just doesn't want to destroy a Waygate. He just has any...
He says perhaps they can maybe cleansed. I said it again.
Cleansed.
Cleansed. It's me. We're cleansing the ways. No teasing. Yeah, no.
Now he's rapping.
He's going to come back to that quickly, Adam. Segue.
That is the kind of rap Eric listens to right there. Right. It explains his personality entirely. That is hip-hop.
That's his naive personality coming out.
Yeah. So what shook my willow this week was when Tam comes in and tells Perrin about his wife's reaction to Loyal in the kitchen. Because Perrin brings Fael and the Aiel into the wine spring, and Bran. Alvir is having a little bit of a difficult time with it, but his wife Meryn is sitting around acting like everything is normal, and then they go off, and Bran is talking to Perrin, and Loyal comes into the kitchen, and Meryn Alvir just goes bonkers. She's trying to keep it together, but she can't. And so she's going crazy there in the kitchen. and Bran comes running in to describe the scene to Perrin, and it's like something out of a John Ford film. He just comes bursting into the room and he's like, "You won't believe my wife. I had to give her a swig of apple brandy to make her calm down. If I'd offered her another one, she would have had it."
Wow. That was impressive.
That's not the way I read it, but I love it now.
Just like he's like the guy from Dukes of Hazzard.
Roscoe Pico Train.
Roscoe Pico Train.
So yeah, he says she normally drinks wine, but he gave her a swig of brandy, and if he had given her another one, she would have taken it. That's how nonplussed she is by this experience with the Ogier. So I just thought it was I had the whole scene in my head, and it really made me laugh.
I love that explanation of it. Now, next time I read it, that's all I'm going to think about.
So that was my Willow moment for this episode. What was yours?
It's a funny
Dave?
Willow moment.
Mine was kind of a continuation of something I said last week, which is a realization that happened this week. Matt is alive and nearly choked to death, but apparently he did get what he wished for. Whatever wished, asked, whatever word we want to use.
He asked.
Yeah, and so he came out. My thought then is those other things that he was asking for, what are those? And I think we kind of got a little indication of one. He asked about, I believe, the holes in his memory being filled. And in these chapters, he was talking about his head was buzzing. His head was buzzing with something or other. There's just that whole scene, the interaction between him and Rand. Mm-hmm. That he gets the staff, and he's just spurting off what the staff is saying, and Rand's like, yeah, dude, you're doing it again. Matt's gone off into Old Tongue land.
The writing on the staff is in the Old Tongue, and Matt doesn't realize he's reading.
Yeah, one of the things that is written in the Old Tongue is memory never fades. Which does Matt have his memories back?
Well, that's what I was just speculating.
That's what you're asking.
Maybe, and then there was something about the agreement is written and so it is paid or something like that. So
what was asked is given. The price is paid.
Yeah. So at that moment was really cool. And then, no big deal. He's been choked, but he's off fighting again in like a matter of moments.
He was hanging in a tree, and then Rand gets him down, and he gives him CPR. Now, I don't know about you, but CPR was invented in 1956.
And it was like yanking up his pants, though. It was like a weird type of CPR.
I think. No, he's getting his legs, he's getting his knees up to his chest. It's the proper way to do it.
He has a big nasty scar on his neck now.
A big purpley
welt on his neck. Which,
but he's got a sweet weapon.
He does, which he apparently took to like a fish takes to water.
It's like a
quarterstaff.
Riversman.
He's a quarterstaff guy.
Staff. He's a quarterstaff guy. We've seen it. We've seen him use it before.
We've seen that.
So,
we've seen it.
Speaking of memories, let's talk about the memories that we learn in Rhuidean. So let's do a little what happens in Rhuidean stays in Rhuidean. So we finally see what this whole city is all about and what these clan chiefs witness. And boy, oh boy, the Aiel are not who we thought they were.
Yeah, they're not who they thought they were. They're definitely not who they want to be.
Well, I thought they were them the entire time, though.
Yes, you did. You thought that they were the origins of the Tuatha'an?
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good for you.
Not just the Tuatha'an. There's like 3 of them. There's the Gen,
right,
and then there's the Aiel.
Right. Yeah. In order to make this a little bit more digestible for people who are reading it for the first time, we're gonna start this from the very beginning.
Feels like the first time.
Where it starts historically, and then we're gonna move forward in time, which is the reverse of the way the story is told. But this is not just the history of the Aiel. This is also the history of the Westlands as well. The very first thing, sort of the inciting incident for this is, hey, we learn Lanfear's name, which not even Moiraine or any of the Aes Sedai knew. So we run into this woman who can channel, whose name is Mirren, right? So she and this guy, Bideman, go up into that giant ball that's floating in the sky called the Sharam, which is some sort of channel hub. And they go up there, and she says she's going up because she's found this other source of the one power that both men and women can use, as opposed to the one power that they're using right now, where they use one part and the men use another part. This would be a one power that would unify them. So my first question is, did we know this about the dark power, that both men and women are using the same thing? I didn't realize that up to this point. This is the first time I actually knew that.
No, as far as we know, this is the first mention of it.
This is the first time we learned that. So it is a single source, which means that all of those people that are using that one type, they're all using the same thing, which means
all what people?
The Forsaken. So that was one of the things that I was kind of wondering. The other thing is, what do we think Lanfear's intent is going up there? Because she presented as altruistic. She's going to find this source that offers them all new opportunities.
I think she's just a liar. Everything we know about her is power, greed, power. So I think she's lying to everybody. Quite honestly, she's probably already in the Shadow's sway at that point. So she's, maybe trying to take people to the dark side.
So is she being called Lanfear and Marin at the same time?
No.
She's not Lanfear yet, I don't think. I think she becomes Lanfear after this event.
She becomes Lanfear after they know that she's joined the Dark One, which at this point nobody knows. At this point, nobody knows anything other than the fact that there's this giant black flame and this ball comes crashing to Earth. Adam, did you know that? I mean, did you think that she knew what she was doing when what we know is she ended up drilling a bore into the Dark One's prison?
There has been talk about the fact that she was a good person originally.
That's not what Lews Theron thought. Lews Theron thought that all she ever wanted was more power.
Sure, that's what we get from him.
Actually,
but other people were saying that she used to be this great woman. I don't know. I agree with Dave with what he's saying is everything that we get is all she ever says is think of the power. So
yeah. The conversation that she has, it sounds like she has altruistic reasons for doing this, but I don't think she does. I think she's going in there knowing what she's drilling into, and she's just lying to people around her so she can get up into that thing and do that. We learn that fabric that the warders wear is called fan cloth. So we learn
interesting fact.
We learn that. So now we're moving a little bit forward in time. So Kuman, however you pronounce this guy's name, overhears that soldier say the bore is sealed.
That Shan Chan soldier?
Yes, right.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. But I had always thought that armor came just with the Hawkwing people. Well, and it's like that armor been around well before him.
I mean, you're talking about the people of current time can only remember so far back, and obviously even Hawkwing is still 1,000 years ago, maybe even 2,000 years ago, because he's in a different age than the Age of Legends. Yeah. So obviously the armor's been around for longer than that, and the reason why Hawkwing's people had that armor was because it was the armor that's been used on the continent. But he mentions that...
But then it disappeared when they disappeared.
Yep, they took it with them. He mentions that most of the Forsaken have been trapped in the vault, and maybe all of them. So we've had a couple of conversations around, was Ishamael out over the last several thousand years? And we get this reference here, and then a little later on, and I'll jump forward just for the purposes of this little bit of conversation here.
Someone else says
they run into an Aes Sedai that they think has gone crazy, and she mentions that Ishamael is out and around and was never trapped. He's probably been there the whole time.
Pulling strings.
Yeah.
How did he avoid getting put in?
So there is a supplemental story that Jordan wrote called The Battle of Shaul. The short story mentions the fact that the reason why the Forsaken were trapped in the vault is because they just happened to be there when the 100 companions and Lews Theron went to Shaul to seal the bore. They just happened to be there.
Yeah, they were having a meeting.
Supposedly they were having a meeting, but maybe they weren't.
Who knows what it was?
Right, and maybe
it seems convenient.
Right, it is. It's really strange, and maybe they just spread the rumor in order to make people feel safer. Either way, Ishamael's been out dancing with himself for thousands of years. First of all, no wonder he took the name of Baalzamon, because he's the only evil that's been around for thousands of years. So that's why everybody believes that he's the Dark One.
Yeah, it's convenient. His time is up.
Well, it's up now. He's gone.
You skipped over a little section with Kuman and the fact that there were just Nim wandering around, which is really cool.
First of all, we learn a little bit about the Khaden Sor, And the reason why they blend into the earth so well and camouflage the Aiel so well is that they're farm clothes. They were designed for the purposes of them to be out in the fields singing seeds,
singing
farming.
Seeds.
And they do that with the Ogier and the Nim.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Treebeard.
It's really cool.
So we learned that Sameshta is the Green Man. He's the last of the Nim to survive the War of the Shadow.
Oh, you think that's the same one?
We know it's the same one because he has the same fissure in his face. And so they're out there, and what the Aiel do amongst helping the Aes Sedai, and it looks like a lot of some of at least the Aes Sedai come from the Aiel. Yeah, They might come from other sources as well, but one of the Aiel's primary things, in addition to helping the Aes Sedai and Lews Therin, which is why they're called the People of the Dragon, is to sing these to help fields grow at a much more rapid rate. And so that's where the song comes from, right? Yeah, the seed song.
Yeah, the seed song. It's what Kuman was born for.
And what he reveled in, what he truly enjoyed.
Seed.
I really hope that's not the way they sing.
That's what it sounds like.
Seedy song.
Seed song.
I'm fairly certain that would kill crops, not make them grow.
Seed song.
That's the weed song. Weedy. So Kuman begats Jonai, who leads a caravan of thousands of wagons and the rest of the Aiel out of Paradisen, which oddly enough sounds a lot like paradise. And the reason why everybody's fleeing Paradisen is because there are a couple of male Aes Sedai who, since the counterstroke of the Dark One, are now all going crazy and destroying everything around them. And these two men are coming to Paradisen.
Boy, those cities, though, they sounded fascinating.
Well, you've got all kinds of crazy. You've got Joe cars and Joe this and Billy Bob
flying
that.
Plane. You got planes, basically, and automobiles and all sorts of automated weapons. And I just wonder what happened with the technology. Like, where did that knowledge go?
Well, so that actually feeds into this because Jonai can't use any of that technology for this caravan. They are using
a horse and wagon,
antiquated technology because this is their mission. The other thing that they're doing is they're taking all of these relics that are used with the One Power and they're taking them away from the men because they don't want these men who are going crazy and destroying everything around them to have access to all of this stuff that magnifies the power.
I think the real mission is to save the Aiel. I think part of it is about the artifacts of the power, but I think the bigger mission is to save the Aiel, because I think even back then there's the prophecy of saving the Aiel and the remnant, and the Aiel have to get out of there, or otherwise they get destroyed. First of all, they can't fight, so they're all going to get killed. I think the remnants of the power are a byproduct of getting them out there and saving them. She seems to be concentrating more on him and them getting to safety, and oh, by the way, take that stuff with you.
You might be completely right. Don't misunderstand, though. Their mission is to keep those things away from the men who can channel, because if they can get their hands on it, they might literally destroy the whole world, and there might not be.
Well, they did it without it.
Any planet left. Well, no, there's still a planet. The planet's still there. I mean, theoretically, there might be enough for them to tear apart the Earth at its core.
And
that being said, what she says when they're done, when she's talking to him before he leaves, she tells him the most important thing is that the Aiel survive and that you keep the covenant. That's what she tells him. Don't forget the way of the leaf.
And as we go on and on and on, everyone's whole thing is, we have to find this place of safety. We have to, that was like their whole thing. We're supposed to go to find a place of safety. I guess that's where they think they're taking this stuff. I don't even think she had any idea of where that place of safety was, if there was one at all.
She doesn't. She says keep moving until you find one. She has no idea where it's going to be. None whatsoever.
It ends up being the waste.
Well, first of all, the waste, when they find it, the world's a totally different place when they find the waste. It's nothing like I think that woman's name is Celinda. It's nothing like what the world was when Celinda originally sent them off in that caravan. The breaking hasn't occurred yet.
They're a long ways away from the waste too. So I don't know if those people actually were ever been to the waste, or if the waste was the waste.
We have no idea where Paradisen is.
Yeah.
We have no idea where the waste is at that point. You're right, because the world completely changes over these hundreds of years. You raised another interesting point. Anybody have any guesses as to why they can't use any of that technology? Because he says they can't. He observes it's odd that they can't use it.
Maybe
but
it's
they
in
can't.
violation of this way of the leaf. I don't know.
Well, and if you remember, there's one that's broken. There's a broken Joe car that's in one of the hallways that he has to walk through, as if to illuminate or illustrate that this technology is somehow falling apart itself.
Maybe they're power enabled things.
Yeah, maybe with the male half of the one power being broken in some way, all of that stuff doesn't work anymore.
Or maybe it takes men and women both to make them work.
Well, but you would have thought that once it was made, it would be self-sustaining.
Yeah,
but there is some sort of insinuation that this is what's going on. After the breaking, they're on the west coast. Jonai is looking over an ocean that didn't used to be there and is now there, and looking off into the distance and seeing.
Well, they could be south. We don't know.
No, it says he's looking west.
Okay.
It says he's looking west. So he's at the edge. He's at the western edge, looking
so he's over there
at
by
the ocean.
Chico, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, they barely have any chora cuttings left. So they barely have any. Right. They start out, all of those wagons have a Vendosora, or what we now know are chora trees. They all have chora tree cuttings in them.
And they found it silly that they were carrying them.
They were like, yeah, why do we have all of these cuttings? And they barely have any left.
And they just pass it down to down.
And then they get to the point where they're doing cuttings. They don't have the samplings, the seedlings any longer. They're doing cuttings off of the seedlings in order to keep these things alive.
And then it just progressively gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
But they're keeping them alive.
They are. They keep them alive long enough to get them to Rhuidean 1.
Ryu.
Right.
It's during Jonai's time that he runs into that crazy Aes Sedai that mentions that not all of the Forsaken were trapped in the prison. So then we get to Adan, and Adan or Adan, wherever you want to put the emphasis.
My name is Adan.
So
that's definitely where the emphasis was. Yes.
So Jonai dies, telling Adan to head south and to keep the covenant. Those are
a heart attack or whatever.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Big deal.
First of all, he says head south, first of all, and then the last thing he says is what Celinda tells them, which is keep the covenant, keep the way of the leaf. Some interesting things about Adan: his daughter can dream. This is the first mention of dreaming here. We don't really get any story of the wise ones at all. So could this be the beginning of the wise ones?
It seems like it.
Yeah, it's a thought. I never really thought about that, but yeah, sure.
It's odd that they don't enter into this story whatsoever. We get the origin of the Fardar Asmai.
Well, is that the beginning of the wise ones? And if so, they must be part of the Aiel then that become the Aiel, not the Gen or the Tuathan.
It would seem. Now which
means the dreamer has to be a Fardar Asmai also.
His daughter dies. Adan's daughter dies.
Okay, but that's true. But even still,
Job.
Sure, yeah, he does have a lot of death in his family. He is also the divine.
But he sticks to his covenant.
Well, does he? He is the division between the Aiel and the Tuathan. It's him and Mulwyn, so there's another attack on the poor Aiel, and Sulwin, not Mulwyn. Sulwin says, we're going to go and seek the song.
Off.
We heard that we used to sing. There was some sort of song. And Adan says, well, we're here to guard these relics. We're going to guard the relics. This gets directly to what Dave was just saying a second ago. So what is the primary function of the Aiel? Is it to guard the relics, or is it this song which I associate with the covenant? I associate their singing with this covenant of pacifism and the ethos of the Aiel's life. So who is sticking with the covenant here? Is it Sulwin who is going to seek the song, or is it Adan who is just guarding the relics?
I say Adan just because he's doing both of what he was told to do. And the Tuathan decided to just take a offshoot of it, and for their own selfish reasons decided that this way was too hard and they were going to go just pursue this one small aspect of it. They weren't going to stick with all the difficulty. This is too
But
hard.
you were just saying a second ago that the primary purpose of the Aiel was not
it was to
the
preserve
relics.
the Aiel. It wasn't
Right.
to go off and wander and just to find the song that they lost.
Well, not just
that
to
wasn't
preserve
any aspect
not
of
just
it.
to preserve the people, because if the people live on, but everything that they stood for dies, then don't the people really die? I mean, Solinda did not just want to preserve the race; she said preserve the covenant.
Well,
It's
I
their
think
belief system.
I think
that's
they're both
important.
doing that, but then one's leaving behind the other part also. I think they're both keeping the covenant at this point.
The song gets forgotten. The Aiel do not remember any longer.
Well, the song is
any-
not the covenant. Right. They are both
Yes.
going off with the mindset of we are keeping the way of the leaf.
Right.
And I think they're both right. They are. Jonai's side is keeping the way of the leaf and preserving the artifacts. He's got both pieces of the puzzle. Whereas the other guy has just got one. So I'm going to go with 2/1.
The other guy has two things too, because he's pursuing the pacifism as well. We know the Tuatha'an are pacifists.
I'm just considering that the way of the leaf. I'm lumping that all together.
So he's got that, and he's got the song, which he is pursuing.
Which isn't part of what
which
they were told to
Jonai
do.
It's part of who they are. They were told to preserve who they are, and
Well,
this is a story of how they forget.
We
who they are.
don't know that the singing is all they were.
No, all they were? No, it's certainly
we
not.
do, because it says what Jonai was made for. That's what he was born for, was to sing and to have things grow. And it's the same thing with the Ogier, who were born to have things grow as well. And then they're also getting really tired, and they need to find a setting soon or die. That both of those are definitely, it's a song to make things grow, to give life.
There's not a right answer here. I just think it's an interesting conversation.
There isn't. That's what makes it great.
Right, exactly.
They both think they're right.
Right. So Sulwin takes many of the Aiel off on his mission, and Adan says they are now lost to the Aiel.
Tuatha'an are the lost people.
So now we know where the name the Lost Ones comes from.
So this is where we see the door frame.
Right. This is where we see the door frame.
It's been around.
So that is chapter 26. Chapter 25 begins.
I'm just going to say that's a big ask for that Aes Sedai that was like, here, protect my stuff. But.
Well, not my stuff. It wasn't just hers. It wasn't her personal collection. It
But
seems like this is a capital city. We don't get told flat out that Paradisen is a capital city, but
I was thinking so, yeah.
It doesn't change
but
your
then
point.
she says, but you have to also remain true to yourself. Do you like?
Well, she seems to
Doesn't seem like
suggest
it
that
works.
if you're going to sacrifice one, stay true to yourself. That's more important than these artifacts.
That's what it seemed like.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a huge ask. Absolutely. So Adan's grandson is Lewin. Lewin's
Yep.
sister is kidnapped and abused by some men.
And we have a feeling that's been happening.
The village
Oh,
people.
they-
They're not so friendly.
You mean
as you
to
think they
Lewin's
would be.
clan? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been happening to the Aiel all along. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a story of
Yeah.
how they get abused by people because of their pacifism. The world is now a windy, dusty place.
Or the location where they are.
Jordan is, I think, trying to hint at us here as to the changes that are going on with the world. You could definitely read that as this is just this specific location, but Jordan seems to go out of his way to show them an extreme climate, which I think is a suggestion of the changes that the world continues to go through.
See, I figured they were he's just having them get closer and closer to the waste. That's what I feel like is happening here. They're moving further and further east and getting closer and closer to the mountains and to the waste and then into the waste.
Then if that's the case, then the majority of this travel, they're in the hinterlands, they're in the interior of Westland, which shouldn't be seeing all of these extremes of temperature.
No, but that's just
No,
seasonal.
I think they're moving. Yeah, I think they're moving because of the changes that are taking place.
Because they do say all of a sudden they see the mountains that they've never seen before.
At this point.
So they're moving eastward.
They could be moving eastward.
They're moving.
But the climate change that occurs in this world occurs north and south, not east and west. East and west is as it does in our world.
Well,
it's
they
all
just
the
came
same
south.
band.
He told them to go south.
He's telling them to go south. He told them to go south
before.
beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden it's.
But south
whatever.
should not be dusty and dry. South should be, the south of this world as we know it now is wet and swampy. This is a dusty, dry place, which is why they're using the veils. So this is the very beginning of them veiling themselves before they kill.
Which seems like had nothing to do with killing.
It was an accident.
Yeah.
It was just a pure accident. It was dusty out there, and Lewin accidentally kills this guy while trying to save his sister. He thinks he's grabbing a branch, and he shoves it at the guy to get him away, to push him away, and he stabs him with the spear. And then he justifies using the spear because you can use a spear to throw food into a pot with, as opposed to a sword, which is only made for killing. And there we have the ethos of the Aiel as they exist today.
Yeah, you're a Daishan no longer. They're kicked out.
Well, they're kicked out, but he forms his sect now as the Aiel as we know them today. And the people who kick them out then become the Gen, which is the next scene that we see. So by that point, the Gen are still outnumber.
We're with Jordan.
This is Jordan
Next, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Lewin's grandson. The Gen come to Jordan. And this is where Morin comes. She comes from the Gen and says that her daughter has been captured, and this is the first Far Dara's Mai.
Right, exactly. If your daughter was taken, would you choose the way of the leaf? Yeah.
Right. So at this point, the Gen still far outnumber the Aiel of
as we know
Lewin.
them today.
Well, Lewin's Aiel, the Aiel that Lewin forms when he gets kicked out for accidentally killing that guy with a spear.
This is before they came to the Threefold Land?
Yes.
Yes, they're making their way there.
So Geordrum gives this woman a spear, and he breaks it over his knee for her.
That's how they get their short spears.
Right. And he gives her the buckler.
It has a little
and then there's that great line where he's like, these are much easier to handle this way.
He's teaching her how to use the spear that he created for her, and that is ultimately how the Aiel land up on their weapon combination. Oh, during a conversation with Morin, she mentions to him that the Gen are now down to 3 Chora trees. So there's only 3 left that they almost worship like altars or gods, because they're down to just those 3. So then Jordrum's grandson is Roderick. And that's the other thing.
The names have changed.
Is during Jordrum's time, that's the snow. That's the snow-covered world. So now we get to Roderick, his grandson, and the world is no longer covered in snow. And this is where they can see the mountains to the north and to the east. And all of the people are drinking from wells. So this is where they run into Jarum or Garum, whose father is a lord of a town with several wells, and he is the first person to allow the Aiel to stay on his property and use his wells. The Aiel have been beaten and battered and treated poorly by all of the clans or whatever exists in this world at this point, and this guy actually allows him to stay on his land and use his wells.
Finally a nice person.
And Roderick is still aware of the Aiel's secret name at this point. He's still aware of them being called the Children of the Dragon. From the conversation he has with Garum, they learn that the Gen are heading east into the mountains. So now they're heading to the Dragon Wall, and then on the other side of the Dragon Wall is the Waste.
Or something.
So this is what we know from the geography of the world, and the world is settled.
We don't know
at this point.
Okay.
It's settled. There's no water running around yet, but we know that they're headed east. They're going to follow them east over these mountains.
Garum said his father has an Aes Sedai advisor.
So there's still a few Aes Sedai kicking around.
Well, he says, I hear the Aes Sedai plan to build a city.
What were the Aes Sedai doing when the Aiel were getting like the snot beaten out of them?
Well, they're wandering around too, because remember, the world is it may not be breaking anymore, but it's still going through radical climate change.
So they must have hooked up with some Aes Sedai somewhere along the way.
Well, he found one. There's just one. There's a woman that's Garum's father is essentially the lord of the area. And he has an Aes Sedai as an advisor. And thank you, Adam. She mentions the building of Tar-Valon. So we get the very first reference to the building of Tar-Valon.
And the Ogier, the OG that are going to build it.
The stonemason OG.
So we know from their relationship who Jarum's people are. Any guesses?
I'm guessing it's the Kyranian, but...
Kyranian?
Oh, that makes sense.
Why?
Just from a proximity standpoint for me.
How so?
It's the nearest city to the Dragon Wall.
Okay. What else do we know about the relationship between the Aiel and the Kyranian?
They traded.
Right.
They used to get along just fine.
Right. They were the one nation that was allowed to move through the waste.
Of course, it makes sense because they were the only people that sheltered them and were nice to them.
Right.
So that would be a good spawning of that.
Exactly. This is why. So we learn why that relate, because remember the conversations that we had between Moiraine and the Aes Sedai about the Aiel were that was weird. It was weird that they allowed, and that's the reason why Cairhien thrived, was because they could trade through the waste and none of the other nations could, and they became really wealthy because of that trade route.
Because of this.
And the reason they get that trade route is because of this moment in history. That's why they show this. That's one of the reasons, in addition to the Gen finally heading off into the waste. It's one of the reasons why this scene exists. So I thought that was really cool, and it's all about wells.
It's backstory.
All right. So Roderick then is Mandine's great-great-grandfather. And Cieldra is Mandine's wife. And Cieldra has told Mandine to go and talk to the Gen, who now are building a city which we know is Rhuidean. So we finally get to the city of Rhuidean. It's not complete, but they meet with the Gen there. Well, first of all, they're told by their wise ones, if you don't make an agreement with the Gen, anybody who doesn't make an agreement with the Gen, their clans will die. So that's the setting for this. And then we learn, okay, what the Gen want them to do is, he asks them, do you know why you only use it, why you won't touch a sword? And they don't know. They've completely forgotten their history at this point. All of that stuff, all of that we just went through, they're totally ignorant of, with the exception of their name, the fact that they're still called Children of the Dragon, and that's it.
Convenient, shameful forgetting. It's like they don't want to remember. And so eventually enough of not wanting to remember became you don't remember.
So finally, Mandine agrees that, he will and they will, from that point forward, send their clan chiefs to Rhuidean to learn their past. And that's why the city exists. And that's why it's the sheltering place of all of these relics in Sangreal and Terangreal and Angreal. And that's how everything gets there. It's how the world breaks. I mean, think about all of the history that we learned, that the Aiel, by the way, have all the Aiel clan chiefs have all known.
So what happened to the Gen?
We don't really get an explanation. We're only left to kind of surmise, in the same way that we're left to surmise how in the world did the wise ones emerge as as a part of this clan. So Mandine goes in there and is the first Aiel to see their past. What is his reaction?
Seriously.
Not good.
He survives.
What
Obviously, some people...
Someone went in.
Right.
Someone went in at one point.
And someone came out.
You just keep the secret to yourself?
Yeah, they have to. They're supposed to keep this secret to themselves. You can see why this would be something that you wouldn't want everyone to know. It would tear at the fabric of the society for sure. And I guess you're either strong enough to keep it a secret or you die there. That's how it keeps its secret.
Well, it's a testing of what your strength of character.
And we watched somebody die there horrifically.
Yeah, well, he deserved it. He's friends with Coolad.
And that's Muradin, right?
He's one of those dirty Shido.
Kool-Aid Man's older brother.
He's not coming back.
He claws his eyes out.
He had an Event Horizon moment.
He did.
He sure did.
He did not come back. So
I liked how it just kept like flashing to him though. Meanwhile, he was down. He's clawing at his eyes more.
There's deep furrows in his face.
First of all, where did he come from? Because didn't we get from the conversation that the wise ones have with Kool-Aid Man? Didn't we get the sense that he'd been in there for hours, if not a couple of days?
Yeah, well, apparently his journey through it, he just couldn't. He went much slower than Rand did.
Way slower.
Because he couldn't handle it. And also, by the way, he's not the Dragon Reborn. That's a whole lot of information we just covered.
It is.
Yeah.
But how amazing are these two chapters?
It just comes full back to what Rand, like beginning to end with what Rand is, because the question was that whoever comes to you to do this will lead the Aiel, and the response was no, that will come later. The stone that never falls will fall to announce its coming. Of the blood, but not raised by the blood, and blah, 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 all that stuff. So that was spoken, and then we find out Rand, at the end of chapter 26, is going back, and dawn is breaking.
He's he who came with the dawn.
Have we heard this before?
Have we heard an expression that encompasses this idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Tie you together with bonds you cannot break.
Everybody get their Valentine. Let's hop on the boat and do a little love connection.
Let's go to Sappy Sapsalot.
We haven't had to deal with Fael and Perrin in a while.
For some time. Thankfully.
And here is the cantankerous couple duking it out through the ways.
She's on his junk instantly about jumping through the thing.
And she's smacking his face.
That would not go down with me.
Twice.
I like how he retaliates. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Finally.
Well,
this is a moment I've been waiting for some time.
What you mean when he's sitting around the fire and he's trying to make it seem like he's having a joke and laughing?
No, when he puts her over his knee and paddles her.
He spanks her.
Yeah,
she deserves a good whacking.
Weird.
It's weird.
I don't know. That's a little weird.
Yeah, that's a little weird. It's a humiliating way to.
She's acting like a child, so he treats her like a child.
Yeah,
I'm not.
We're thinking stuck in today's society.
Right.
Back then, it sure was a perfectly appropriate thing. You're acting like a child, and I treat you like a.
There is no back then. I mean, this is
Tommy Boy moment.
This is
act like a child. I treat you like a child.
So anyway, it's weird.
No, it's wonderful. Everything wonderful about it.
He didn't really enjoy doing it.
No, it was punishment. It wasn't supposed to be fun.
Well, you're treating it like it's the best thing.
Oh, I'm treating it like it's the best thing in the world because she needed.
It's cotton candy to you.
She needed to be put in her place finally, and she finally was.
All right, so I guess you did catch that he spanks her. What do we think of this relationship now after these 6 chapters?
Well,
okay. After the 6 chapters,
after the 6 chapters, a drastic shift has taken place.
Yes,
yeah,
which is much needed and good. I feel like now, hopefully, we're going to get a normal relationship between these two without the whole little game playing they've been doing. Finally, they've been direct. You know, it took a catastrophic event for them both to put aside their little games they were playing.
I'm gonna
for good reasons, but handling it wrong.
Tavern to tavern and listen to stories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And she stopped
her. Find the best one to send you on your way.
She just stopped her manipulation and flat out said, "What do you need?" And it seemed like that cleared up everything between them, that stupid tension that was going on. And now I can only hope they're on the same page going forward. And it's like we can actually have a quote unquote normal couple between these two.
This seems like a speed moment to me. Like Crisis brings, even the most, unfamiliar people together. This is just conflict and Crisis. They have a common foe, and so they're going to unite with each other here. I always was fascinated by what the sequel to Speed would be, the day after. And I'll be fascinated once this crisis is over, if they survive it, what their relationship will go back to. If it will.
I bet it's still going to be a bunch of the same stuff. I guarantee it's still going to be, but it's going to be, but we survived together.
I don't think it's going to be that way. I think there's going to be elements of that, but I think this has been a watershed moment.
It certainly could be. I think it's funny prior to the epiphany that they have with their relationship that when they get out of the ways, Loyal is ready to join.
He's so happy.
He's ready to join Perrin again. He's had enough.
It's over. No, it's not.
Did my thing.
And Perrin's sticking him back with them. That's
suddenly
terrible.
Nudging him. Hey,
oh my gosh. If I were Loyal, I'd be like, dude, you already put me through so much.
You stuck me with her for so long.
This is your fault, man.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with you. If your wife or whoever that is needs to be by herself, first of all, she's got 2 IU.
Well,
I think she's going to be okay. So there they are in the foothills of Manetheren, and Perrin falls asleep.
Well, before that, he sees the hawk get shot down.
Right, so not just the hawk gets shot down, but then a bunch of crows fly up and kill the other one. A bunch of ravens. And the only other time we've seen this is when he and Egwene were getting chased by those ravens, and they were with Elias.
And they were attacked that poor bunny.
And that fox.
And the fox. And Elias was like, you might have to kill her.
Right, yeah, and we get that awkward moment. Thanks for bringing that up. You are the king of awkward, by the way. You just every awkward moment sticks in your head.
I'd like to just think I'm the king of bringing up good topics.
I think that was
You would like to think that, wouldn't you?
a heroic moment.
Getting it.
Could have been a heroic moment.
So we see nature getting destroyed, and then you combine that with the fact that there are strangely no wolves in this wilderness.
That's not good.
Something
the
weird
moment that
is going
Karen
on
actually
in
wants to
Netherin.
reach out, and no one's
Right. Baron's finally come to grips with his superpower. Now he can't use it.
He not so willingly does it.
He's taken up shop next to kryptonite.
Well, that's kind of his whole thing, isn't it? It's like he's, being forced to do everything against his will, but he does it.
Mm-hmm.
He grudgingly is doing everything.
So now Perrin heads off to a candy-coated Sandman in dreams.
He does. More eventful discovery in those dreams.
Candy-coated Sandman.
That's enough already. I find it funny.
It is funny.
And fantastic.
The worst candy possible.
Right.
No way, man. I would love to have a candy-coated snowman.
You would love to have
snowman. You didn't say snowman.
I know, I'm changing it even more.
Hey,
A candy-coated Sandman's about the creepiest thing there ever was. It's like the child catcher covered in candy. Because he's dancing around with the treacle tarts.
The lollipops have dripped on him and he's become candy-coated.
Instead of being filled with caramel.
You know what it is? It's the greedy.
We just packed it full of sand.
It's the greedy from Raggedy Ann turned into like...
only 10 cents.
The guy that makes you go to sleep.
We packed it full of sand.
We packed it full of sand. Same weight. Different texture.
Here, it's a Zot, but instead of fizzy stuff in the middle, there's
sand. Comes out.
Just sand. No, but yours is always candy coated.
It's like a taste of the beach. It's like Kramer's Beach.
It's appearing to be something much different.
Chewy on the outside and sandy on the inside.
You've heard of Machin Shin? Well, we've got a candy-coated Sandman.
All right.
I don't trust this man.
In dreams.
Nor should you.
It looks like the wolf dream is Tel'aran'rhiod to me. It's behaving a lot like Tel'aran'rhiod.
I think they're parallel existences in dreams.
Okay. That's possible.
Egwene and
Amiss.
They're
Bear,
looking at him like, what?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
They peek at each other, so...
Yeah, there's peeking.
That is Tel'aran'rhiod that they peek into.
That's some of the reason why I think this is Tel'aran'rhiod. We still don't have a ton of evidence that this is Tel'aran'rhiod, but it sure seems like. Remember, Perrin is able to change his weapon. Mm-hmm. He has that brief moment where the weapon changes, which is the first time he's ever experienced that. And we know that Egwene had that moment where she was wearing the cotton sword and then she wasn't wearing anything, and they had that clothing fight with Amiss or Bear or whoever that was.
Oh, I do remember the clothing fight.
Yes, the clothing fight. Perrin is starting to see into the future here also, right?
Oh, because what he sees with Nynaeve and Elaine and Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sees those images in the sky where all of a sudden he's looking into a portal in the sky.
The wheel in the sky keeps on portaling.
And this seems to be something similar to what the wise ones do who can dream walk.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what they do.
It's kind of predicting the future.
He's seeing visions of the future. Now, whether or not he can interpret those, it doesn't seem like he does, but there is that.
He sees Rand with those strange shapes flying around him.
Right.
Lizardy things with feet and claws.
Right. And no wings. No wings. These dragons don't have wings. No wings. And they don't breathe fire. So there's that.
Oh, we also saw Kalendor and that banner that Rand has around him in the last two chapters that we were talking about.
The dragon banner?
Yeah, that's crazy. We didn't mention that.
The wolves don't see Perrin's visions, which is weird.
Hopper's just staring at him politely for a long time.
Yeah. So he can do some things in this world that the wolves can't, which is odd.
You were mentioning it's like Perrin sees things and Egwene dreams things.
Right. Egwene's visions are all in like these separate dreams. Perrin
is seeing
things inside of the dreams.
Right, yeah.
And we have no idea how the Dreamwalkers, how their visions occur to them. Maybe we'll get that later. So Perrin sees this guy who we find out is Slayer, and when he sees him, there's something familiar about him.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
I don't either.
Yeah.
How? I mean, we know.
There's got to be something about his appearance.
I don't think it's about that because there's talked about that there's an ancient evil about him.
So maybe that's what's familiar, because the only other person that he's ever run into that I can think of is that Orban guy who was the hunter for the horn.
It could be anybody. He could just seem familiar because he looks like somebody he knows.
That'd be a really weird thing as an author to put down on paper. Just
to choose to write
because of that.
Right.
I'd respect it.
So that's important.
I'm going to say I'd like it. There's something else here that he wished he could talk to Elias at one point.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then he hears some whispering on the wind.
He thought he heard his name whispered on the wind. Was that Elias? Is Elias in there? Because he's like, you're not paying attention, you dummy.
I mean, I would think that Elias would have this ability also.
Yeah, if Elias chooses to exercise it. Elias seems like really practical and doesn't really seem to be interested in some sense.
This something familiar dude with the bow.
Mm-hmm. Slayer.
He smells him. He smells Slayer, and he smells that he doesn't smell humans.
Right. He smells
So
like
something
metallic
else.
Or something. Or
it's got to be another dark friend, right?
It's not good. Whatever it is.
No, he's not. He's not good, and he highly suspects that he was the guy that was shooting that falcon, that shot that falcon down.
Well, yeah, he has a bow.
Right. He's around there killing things.
Slayer.
Which is exactly, which lends to his name. And then he goes running toward that silver tower.
Which is the Tower of Genji.
Which is the name of the chapter.
Right. Crazy.
Yeah. Which we have seen once before when Matt saw it when they were floating down the river in Eye of the World. Matt sees the silver tower when they're on the ship.
That's right.
Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah, with what's his face?
With
Bail Doman.
Bail Doman.
Popping up once again.
Our favorite character. Yeah.
He's linking everything together. Bail Doman is the glue that makes the wheel of time
And
run.
that was when Matt was really getting into the clutches of the dagger, and he wanted to go explore and see the tower because he thought it had treasure in it, and the dagger was like telling him, go see the tower.
Well,
there's treasure there. So it is the Tower of Genji. It's the title of the chapter. So are we all assuming that Slayer is hiding in there?
I guess he went in there.
Seems like it.
There's no doorway.
No, he must know some secret something.
And that blonde-haired chick suggests that there's no real way of getting out.
Why does she even appear?
Oh, the wolf can't see her either.
I think she got curious.
Maybe she likes guys with bows.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, he does say. So she says about him, the Slayer is not old. She says
he's a new creation
not old,
or something. Yeah,
but his evil is ancient.
Parse
that points
out.
at something. That points to the Dark One to me.
Well, it also points to something
he's
that,
evil.
I mean,
well, we've all got another type of evil out there.
That's absolutely true.
So,
yep.
Maybe this is a third evil, but I think it's more pointing.
That sounds like someone we know already. That is not old, but his evil is ancient, and he's around the area.
Oh, okay.
Wow, you're going
so you
there?
You think it's Pod and Fane?
I don't know if I think it is. I'm just saying that's an option.
That logic holds true.
I don't think it follows any line of anything Pod and Fane has ever done up to this point, even in the most remote possibility.
Killing stuff?
No.
Yeah, I'm confused by
he
that.
operates
being surrounded by evil.
Never before have we gotten any indication or inkling that Pod and Fane would have any connection to the world of dreams whatsoever, or be a dreamer or walk in the world of dreams.
No, but she
Nothing
does.
like that.
But she
sure.
does. But I mean, why wouldn't he if he could? So you're just saying
doesn't
that
seem
because
to be his shtick. Look at his past history of everything. He goes and finds a person in power and takes over that person in power and wheedles with that person in power. That's his thing. That's what he does.
His thing is finding every angle to win. That's his thing.
Yeah, but why is he going to the Two Rivers, Adam? He's not going to the Two Rivers for Perrin. He's going to the Two Rivers to scour the place of Randall Thor. That's his thing.
So there's a suggestion here that this person is new to it, so it's possible, just like
I'll give you based off that, yes.
Just like Egwene took some time to learn that she could get into this, it's possible that he's just recently discovered that he can enter into this world because maybe his evil is developing and it's developed in a way that he can now enter this world, because there's also the suggestion that this guy is in here in the flesh. He's not entering in through dreams. He has somehow found a way to
something
break
else
through the time-space continuum that is separating these two realities.
So, yeah, given your piece of information there, Adam, that is an intriguing thought. I don't know that I follow it, but it is an intriguing thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the reality. It is a possibility, and I think it's interesting.
I think it's a strong possibility for who's there.
Sure, because we know he's there.
I'm open for being willing to be.
My other big disclaimer to that is I don't see Pod and Thane shooting a bow with any sort of skill.
That's sure.
That is the best argument you have so far.
That's very true. The other thing we learned here, by the way, this is a place where wolves recycle. They come into this dream and they're waiting to get spit back out, which I don't think we knew before. Hopper says this is a holding place for the wolves, that they get reborn out of here. That's the whole thing, is that Slayer kills that wolf, and that's the reason why that conversation comes up.
See, I didn't think they got spit back out. I think they just dwelled there.
There is the mention that they get reincarnated out of this place, and Hopper is waiting for that to happen. But if he gets killed,
I don't remember that at all.
That'll never occur. It would be thematic for the way that Jordan treats this world.
Interesting.
All right. So let's head into a little Down on the Farm before we wrap up with our Coplin of the Week and Who Leveled Up. We finally get to see a reunion of one of these boys and their hometown.
Are you talking about the reunion with Samburi?
I was so happy that happened. I was waiting for it to come up. He did not hop off a roof.
And
sadly.
Days Conger.
It was really well. We don't see her, but we hear about her. Yeah,
freaking Conger is the wisdom.
Yeah. Well, apparently she's a decentish one, though. I mean, she's.
I don't trust it.
Smacked. Well, no, nor should you. But she seems like she seems like someone who's doing a decent job.
I don't know what to think of her. There's the suggestion that the Coplins and the Congers are in cahoots with the White Cloaks. So that's concerning that one of them is the head of the women's circle.
One of them could be a decent person.
She could be. Yeah, she could be. We don't.
She sounds like she rules with an iron fist, which is what Nynaeve did.
Right. That's nothing new to Emmons Field.
No. But I liked we missed that scene.
Or what we know a wisdom is.
Briefly, where Gaul and them present, like they dump a bunch of gold on the Alviers inside, and they're just kind of like, "Oh, thanks. This is worth more than your whole village."
Salt cellar, right? Yeah, the gold or the silver salt cellar,
right?
That Gaul gives them.
And why does the one just give him silver when the other two have given him gold?
It's what they stole.
It's their fifth.
It's what they have,
quote unquote. They didn't steal
small piece of their fifth.
They earned.
Right. They sacked. Before they get there, though, Perrin does take a brief pause at the Althor farm, which has been burnt to the ground.
That was when they came in.
Yeah, really scary.
Yep. And we learned that is done by the White Cloaks, whereas Perrin's family has been killed by Trollocs.
Murdered by Trollocs is good.
It's a little bit of bad and a little worse of bad.
Yeah. This is the moment where I sort of turned and started accepting Fael. Was this moment here where Perrin has to deal with his grief and she's there for him.
Yep.
And she handles that amazingly well. Does an awesome job there.
She once again steps in and takes charge.
She does. So they're there. Bran and Meryn are trying.
I think Mistress Alvier and her are going to get along.
And Fael.
See that? Yeah.
Yes. This is the male-female dynamic in this world, is that the men think that they're leading the women along and the women think that they're leading the men along, and nobody knows the wiser. I love the fact that Loyal offers to sing the apple tree that's over the graveyard for Perrin's family.
Not just now, though.
No,
He's got business to do.
It's not gonna happen now.
He's got people to rescue. The apple tree, the apple blossoms, and his family cutting back to that after he hears that they die. It's really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So finally, the Alviers realize that they're not going to be able to convince Perrin and Fael to leave. So now they decide that they're going to shelter them in the old sick house.
Right, not the outhouse. The sick house.
Oh, we're back to that. Come and have some brandy. I'm gonna put you up in my sick house.
That was creepy.
When you hear that on tape, you're gonna be frightened of yourself.
That was a very creepy.
Or proud. Or proud.
Proudly frightened.
So they go off on this clandestine sneak to the forest.
They got caught by a buoy.
Yeah,
right, but not before they
Loyal. Put this cloak over
Right.
yourself. You're really
Don't
tall.
act
We're
10
gonna
feet
try
tall.
to hide you.
Act
Not,
like an old
not
woman.
before they get caught by Sam Bowie.
Ooh, he was
or
hopping
Sen
around
Bowie.
those rooftops.
Oh,
That's
boy.
right. He was peeking down Wee Willie Winky style.
But Marin lays the law down with him.
Gives him the what for.
And scares the snot out of him. And she's 90% certain he won't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So good to have Sen Bowie back in our lives.
Even for the
Very
briefest
happy about
moment.
it.
Yes.
That
Gnarled and
roof
crotchety
jumping cricket.
Thatcher that he is. So then they go off to the woods and the old sick house, but not before they stumble across a couple of warders.
Yeah, that was
Oh, and where there are
that was
warders,
surprising.
there are Aes Sedai.
And yeah.
I did not see that coming.
No. So Marin has been keeping secrets from everyone.
And apparently quite successfully.
Except for the other women in town. All the other women know about it who are in the women's
what
circle.
her greatest secret is, though?
What's that? Adam?
What's that?
Nice loaf of bread she makes.
the honey cakes?
A nice honey cake that she makes.
So the warders are Tomas and Yvonne. We don't know the names of the Aes Sedai. I'm sure that's right around the corner and will be waiting for us next episode. So it's good to have somebody from Emmons Field back in Emmons Field, even if he's not in Emmons Field, but hiding in an outhouse in the woods instead. I'm looking forward to refamiliarizing ourselves with the Emmons Fielders and see what's going on in that town. We've been away for a long
They're all
time.
being stubborn.
And hating on Aes Sedai.
And growing tobacco.
Life has been interrupted there. They got Trollocs having raiding parties. They got white cloaks around. They got people drawing the dragon's fang on people's doors.
There's never time to not grow tobacco.
Speaking of the dragon's fang, Adam, who was your Coplin of the week?
Well, who do you think it is? We go back to their origins.
Sen Bowie?
Of the C word.
You thief,
and
you.
I'm just going with the Coplins and the Congers. Because they're friends with the freaking White Cloaks.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Eric's disappointed with my answer.
I am. Mine is Muradin, Kool-Aid Man's brother.
What, for all the 5 seconds we see of him?
Yep.
Yeah, why?
He couldn't handle you can't handle the truth.
Yeah. Well, all right.
You couldn't handle the truth, man.
Yours is way worse than mine.
It is absolutely.
I'll be the judge of that, and you're wrong.
I think we got 2 against 1.
Doesn't
I
matter.
Think we're right. Wow.
Dave,
my name on the door.
He can't handle the truth, so he's therefore a terrible person and annoying.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna sweep the crown of victory here and go to the Thatcher, the roof jumper, Sen Bowie,
because you can,
because he's just there doing what he does, being annoying,
getting in the way, sticking
Dave and I
in your
craw, choosing Sen Bowie and the Coplins and Congers, and loving Moraine, and you're over there picking some guy who clawed his eyes out.
Yeah,
and he's the worst person of the week for some reason.
Where's she been?
Yep,
she's apparently running around.
Moraine, throw us a line.
Yeah, we need a line.
Send
from
a little
Moraine.
letter.
I'm a little concerned. She's out in that hot sun
Rub it in
naked
your
running
hair.
Rhuidean.
All right,
It's
you
not
can't
good.
choose her this week for your.
No, I
Who leveled up?
I cannot choose her for that.
So who leveled up? It's not Moraine. Who's it gonna be, Adam?
I went first with the last one. It's Dave's turn.
No, you can go first again.
I went first the last time.
Yeah,
I think
I
Adam's
know.
creepy.
Let's
I'm not
hold
gonna
on.
go
There's a
first
dog attack
again.
happening in my front yard.
So
All right, so I will go.
you don't
then
have a dog,
since
do you?
She
Then
beat
you
her
don't
dog.
have to worry
eh?
about it.
Yeah. So my leveling up was Perrin.
Perrin.
Yeah, Perrin was my level up because he learned some new skills in the Dreamland. He made it through finding out his whole family was slaughtered, and now he has a purpose and a focus, and he's, I think he's going to act on it, and he seems to have settled a squabble with Fael. So maybe we won't get the maudlin Perrin.
Funny you mentioned Fael because she's my level up of the week.
Oh, high five! High five! So is mine.
I don't hate her.
Yeah, no,
Congratulations.
huge. Yes, we like you a little bit.
You've solved the problem of maybe having some sort of human emotion and being able to deal with someone that just realized their entire bloodline has been wiped out.
Well, you've been able to demonstrate affection for somebody in some other form of expression than annoyance.
Right. We know she likes him, but she's just terrible at like demonstrating that.
Well, she's got
without manipulation.
She's got an elementary school girl's idea of expressing affection. But not now. It's a little more complicated now.
Yeah.
A little more complex.
I think Loyal
range
should
of
be the
emotion
ultimate level up for dealing with all these crackpots.
All right. So that wraps up episode 31. Join us for episode 32 when we cover chapters 31 through 36. Until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
May you know good hunting, young bull, and she's to give you many cubs.
Bye.